G'day guys and gal. Primarchs are obscenely powerful, not just because of their mighty throbbing girth, but also due to their influence and ability to command. A legion without a Primarch is a scattered and broken thing, with the Primarchs being the ones that make all the big decisions. So that begs the question, why not just assassinate them? They are tough, but they're not invincible. A nuclear bomb, a couple headshots with an armor-piercing round, decapitation is a tried and true method. Well, the truth is that people have tried to assassinate the Primarchs many times, but due to incompetence, sheer Primarch hacks, or just bad or good luck depending on perspective, they have all failed except for one. And that one was more of an assisted suicide than anything else. Before we get started, there are some products out there that there is literally no downside in acquiring. The best example of this is from today's sponsor, PayPal Honey. Honey is a free online shopping tool that basically just auto-detects coupons and discounts, then gives them to you for free when you're checking out at your favorite online stores. To put it plainly, you are paying nothing to get discounts. I've been a Honey user for years before they reached out to me, so it's a no-brainer for me to now bring it to you guys and gal. I've genuinely saved thousands of dollars. Honey has partnered up with tons of brands, having custom discount codes for Honey users, but it also isn't limited by that. If a brand is doing like a 25% off sale but only informed a few hundred VIP customers, there's a decent chance Honey will pick up on it and then give it to you. Even if there are no coupons available, at least you know you are getting the best price you can. So to join Honey for free, then use my link below. This is one of those things that you actually have to be a bit weird not to use. Cheers to Honey for sponsoring this video. Today we'll go over each of the times an assassination attempt was made on a Primarch's life in 40k. The criteria will be pretty strict. The attempt has to be made as part of like a subterfuge, infiltration, sneaky boy effort. Angron challenging one of his brothers to single combat mid-battle does not count as an assassination attempt. Let's get into it. Although Primarch assassination attempts would become trendy during the Horus Heresy, that isn't where they started. When the line was overseeing what should have been a straightforward compliance over a seemingly cooperating world, disaster struck. See, the world was actually one big chaos cult who was pretending to cooperate as they prepared to attack the Dark Angels. The opening of their attack was when their diplomats smuggled a nuclear warhead onto the Lion's flagship, with the goal of detonating it and wiping out the Dark Angels' command structure, killing the Lion as well. However, Luther and Zahariel discovered the nuclear bomb and were able to vent it into space. Its explosion did some damage to the Dark Angel fleet, but nothing compared to what it could have done. This was a pretty controversial moment, as Luther's first reaction to seeing the nuke was to let it go off and allow the Lion to die, thus giving him control of the Legion. However, his own shame as well as Zahariel changed his mind, and he instead helped save the Lion. Overall, a pretty bloody good assassination attempt that could have changed the galaxy forever. The nuke was well hidden, and up until that point, the planet had seemed very keen to join the Imperium, so it wasn't necessarily incompetence by the Dark Angels that allowed it on board. From here on, the vast majority of assassination attempts took place during the Heresy, but due to timeline fuckery, I'm not going to be putting them in exact chronological order. The most famous assassination attempt was when the Imperium put together a team of its greatest assassins from most of the main Officio Assassinorum temples: a Vindicare Sniper, a Calidus Shapeshifter, a Calexis Soul Eater, an Eversor Berserker, a Venenum Poison Master, and a Vanus Genius, in order to form an execution squad to assassinate arch-traitor Warmaster Horus. The idea was to bait Horus to a world undergoing a civil war, and then when he arrived, shoot him in the neck with an extremely powerful lance bolt that would explode his head. To do this, they chose a world that was almost completely taken over by the traitors, that held some significance to Horus, due to it being one of his own personal conquests. The assassins arrived and were able to turn the tide of the civil war, freeing prisoners, murdering enemy commanders, and causing an all-round ruckus without much effort. Word got to Horus that this world was being taken off him, hence he personally arrived in the system to help squash it. The assassins got intel that Horus was going to teleport to the surface in front of the gathered populace, do a bit of a speech, and then vow to hunt down the Imperial elements and liberate the world. He was going to have a force field, so the assassins planned to fire two shots. One shot was a shield breaker, the follow-up was an extremely powerful lance shot that had the power to decapitate a Primarch. Horus teleports in, and without a moment's delay, both shots are fired, with Horus's head exploding clean off, killing him. However, this wasn't actually Horus. It was one of his captains given special warplate to look like Horus. The Lunar Wolves went berserk and attacked the crowd, killing thousands. As the assassins tried to escape, the Eversor was killed and the others scattered. They wanted to regroup and try again. However, Erebus had created his own assassin, the Black Pariah, in order to kill the Emperor. However, destiny, or just bad luck, meant that the survivors of the Imperial kill squad encountered the Black Pariah, and whilst they were able to kill it, the entire squad bar the Vindicare were also killed. The Vindicare then made a mad dash to the Warmaster's ship and got on board. He then sat in the same spot for years, hoping Horus would appear so he could finish him off. However, due to the influence of the ship, as well as some warp poison infecting his mind, he began to fall to chaos. Despite this, his will and loyalty was so great that when Horus finally appeared, he took the shot and tried to kill the Warmaster. However, Primarch Girth made the attempt ineffective. The Vindicare then succumbed to chaos and was used as Horus's personal agent. Overall, a very spicy and intricate assassination attempt. I do want to clarify that before this, the Imperium had sent numerous agents to try assassinate Horus, but all of them failed miserably and didn't even get close, nor do they have any real lore about them, so no point trying to dive into that. After the Execution Squad and Black Pariah debacle, both the Emperor and Horus agreed not to try assassinate each other anymore, but instead fight it out like men. However, just because the Emperor agreed not to send more assassins doesn't mean the entire Imperium agreed. When Horus, Fulgrim and Mortarion met to plan out their next move, a trio of Iron Hands Fire Raptor gunships ambushed them and completely unloaded on them. The devastation they caused was shocking. Horus got extremely hurt and repeatedly thought that he should be dead. Fulgrim got his spine blown out, but due to his warp powers, was able to survive. Mortarion got flensed of flesh as chunks of his armor and himself were being blown off. Despite this, the three Primarchs were able to take out the three Fire Raptors. Horus acknowledges that the only reason he survived was due to his new master-crafted warplate, as well as Fulgrim's powerful psychic ability, which was used to destroy the ships and shield Horus. Funny that such a random attack got the closest to ending the Heresy. 3 unnamed Iron Hands very nearly wiped out 3 traitor Primarchs. Not a bad effort. On to the next one. Fulgrim has become such an irredeemable piece of shit that all I want is for him to die. Fortunately, there was an incredibly solid assassination attempt made on him that he only survived due to complete and utter bullshit Primarch hacks. When Fulgrim and Perturabo met at the beginning of the events of Angel Exterminatus, a small group of Isvan survivors from the Shattered Legions found out about it and went to investigate. One of their scouts was the legendary Nakonai Sharakin, a Raven Guard warrior of extreme skill. Him and his Iron Hand partner, Wayland, were told to observe and then report back. But Sharakin was like, bro, I could totally shoot Fulgrim in the head right now. And Wayland was like, fuck yeah, do it. Hence, Sharakin set up a headshot on Fulgrim with his needle rifle, basically a rifle that one shot kills most things without much drama, especially if you hit them in the head. He fires, and the needle penetrates Fulgrim in the side of the head, going into his brain where it then released a toxin that began melting his brain. Fulgrim faceplants to the floor, blood pooling from the wound. You would think that would fucking do the job, but Fulgrim didn't even lose consciousness. He's just kind of lying down being like, ow, 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 it really hurts. He did say out loud that he thought he was dying, however Fabius Bile was at hand, who was able to quickly counter the toxin and save the Primarch's life. Shame. That wouldn't be the only assassination attempt that took place during the events of Angel Exterminatus. Fulgrim wanted to ascend to become a demon prince of Slaanesh, however he needed Perturabo's life force to fuel his ascension. Hence he gave his brother a Morgada stone, a gem that would drain Perti's life from his body. Perti obviously didn't know what it was at the time. Then when most of Perti's life had been drained, Fulgrim attempted to assassinate Perturabo as the final piece of the puzzle. However, due to Perturabo's will combined with Sharakin and friends intervening, the attempt failed and Perti was saved. Fulgrim was forced to use a couple million Eldar souls to fuel his ascension instead. Fulgrim was a fucking asshole. You might be sitting here thinking, surely the Alpha Legion has tried to assassinate some bitches. Infiltration and subterfuge is their entire deal, and yes, they have, and they got extremely close with it as well. When Guilliman was chilling in his room, some of his hero Ultramarines arrived to report, but Guilliman quickly noticed that something was a bit off. They were cold, refused to remove their helmets, and their captain, a Space Marine Guilliman thought was one of his closest sons, did not have his signature sword on him, claiming he had lost it. To Guilliman's credit, he was able to notice the dozen or so microscopic red flags, things that by themselves were excusable, but together gave him a second of pre-warning that saved his life. A lightly armored and unarmed Guilliman sprung into action as an entire squad of elite Alpha Legionnaire assassins posing as Ultramarines opened fire on him. He ducked and weaved, smashing them to paste. However, he took hit after hit. After killing 8 of the 10 assassins, he was finally brought down to his knees. The Alpha Legionnaire captain put his blade to Guilliman's throat and prepared to kill him. However, Guilliman asked who he was. In his arrogance, a fatal flaw for Alpha Legionnaires, the captain answered and even laughed, giving Guilliman the second or two he needed to catch his breath and then kill the captain. He then shot the last surviving operative in the head. This is probably the most realistic result of a Primarch assassination attempt. Guilliman was taken surprise by an elite assassination squad while he was only lightly armored. He killed them, but it was a close run thing, and he was seriously wounded afterwards. In a similar vein, during the Battle of Phal, Alexis Pollux was engaging Perturabo in a void war and was actually winning. Alexis was a legendary commander, and Perturabo thought Sigismund, a hot-headed commander, would be leading the Imperial Fist fleet, not the cool, calm and collected Pollux. So whilst Perturabo's fleet burned, Pollux sent an assassination force of around 2,000 Imperial Fists to board Perturabo's flagship and kill him. I'm not going to say they got close. Most of them had died by the time they reached Perty, and Perty didn't have much of an issue finishing the rest. However, it did make Perturabo extremely paranoid, partially from nearly losing the battle, but also because that many enemies on his ship was a huge no-no. Not exactly the most subtle assassination attempt, but it still counts. This next assassination attempt is more of an honourable mention, as it was more like a war that was instigated purely to kill one person, one Primarch. This war was for Cygnus Prime. The traders were pretty terrified of Sanguinius for multiple reasons, mostly because he was an absolute beast, but some, like Horus, were scared that if he fell to chaos, he would supplant Horus and become the new War Master. Hence Cygnus Prime was a trap laid in order to try lure Sanguinius to his death and assassinate him. However, as half of the Chaos Forces wanted to corrupt him, and the other half wanted to kill him, they weren't working very well together and failed to do either. So whilst it wasn't a conventional assassination attempt, the entire point of the war was to manipulate him into a trap which would then kill him. That fits the criteria in my books. And finally, the only Primarch assassination attempt that ever succeeded was when Mshen, a Calidus assassin, came to Conrad Curse and cut his head off with a Catan phase blade. However, Conrad let her do it as he was batshit insane and thought that allowing himself to get assassinated would vindicate him. It was stupid and pointless of him, but he thought it was important, so he didn't react even as he saw her leap from the roof towards him. She tried to bring his head back to the Imperium as proof of the deed, but the Night Lords caught up with her and killed her. Either way, Conrad was assassinated, but not really a huge flex considering the context. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then pick up a Major Mini, huge range of stunning tabletop miniatures produced by me. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more assassinatory content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.